Good morning. Thank you for braving the weather and the new snow to join us this morning. Thank you, Amanda. That was beautiful. Welcome to the service of the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Grand Traverse. My name is Mary Ann Rivers, and I'm a member of the Sunday Services Committee. Beth Strawbridge and I have worked together to develop the service on the outside looking in. We will share wise words we have found and tell some stories about being left out. Welcome to those of you who are joining us via live stream and those who are here with us in the sanctuary. If you're visiting or you're new to the congregation and feel perfectly comfortable about it, we would love to have you stand and introduce yourselves, and Chris will bring around a microphone.
We're hooking up the mic, so give us just a second, so kill some time.
There was a rabbi who walked into a bar. Oh my goodness. Check your purse for an otter. Yes. Anybody? Okay. Now, Chris will bring you a microphone so that the streaming people can also hear your names and meet you. So stand up if you're comfortable. Mm-hmm. There's one. Thank you. Welcome. There's some over here, Chris. Over here.
Hi, my name is Nicole. This is my daughter Maya and my husband Ajay. You want to say hi?
Hi.
We just came today. It's our first time, and we just thought we'd like to find community and fellowship and meet some of your friends.
Thank you all. Welcome. Going. Oops, there's one more.
I am Sue Ann Round and a native to the area, and came with my dear friend Leanne Schnapp, and I've been before and enjoyed it when I have visited, and so I'd like to come on a more regular basis.
Thank you. Welcome, welcome.
And I'm Leanne Schnapp. I came from downstate East Lansing, and I'm living over in Interlochen now. And I attend the UU in East Lansing, so now I'm attending the UU here.
Good. Welcome. We also invite you all to join us after our service in the social hall for refreshments and conversation. A yellow mug is to be found back there and will help us identify your visitor or newbie status. We would welcome you all into our Church of the Wide Embrace and look forward to getting to know you. Sharing our joys and concerns with our beloved community helps us stay connected in caring and in celebration. For those of you in the sanctuary, the book is over to your left, and you may record your joys and concerns at any time. They will be read aloud by a representative of the Congregational Care Committee a little bit later in the service. As we start our service this morning, I invite you to set aside the distractions of your daily life. Please turn off your electric stuff so that it doesn't make a noise, and that we might bring our full attention to our time together. Now Beth will do our opening words.
Today we gather as a community, each one of us with unique experiences of belonging and exclusion. We come together to have our spirits renewed so that we can transform our lives and our world, ensuring that no one is left outside looking in. Whoever you are beloved and are welcome here. Whether you have been in tears this past week or you have experienced moments of joy and laughter, you are beloved and you are welcome here. Whether you are feeling brave or brokenhearted, defiant or defeated, fearsome or fearful, whether you have untold stories buried deep inside or stories that have been forced beyond the edges of comfort, whether you have made promises, broken promises, or are renewing your promises, you are beloved and you are welcome here. In this space of welcome and acceptance, may we open ourselves to the possibility of deeper empathy and understanding, of expanding the circle so that all can find a place in our shared human experience. Our centering music, On the Outside Looking In, was written and is performed by Marianne Rivers.
For years, I was a teacher, and one of the schools I taught in was Pathfinder School, which had small classes. I taught 7th and 8th grade, and so for a number of years, I wrote a musical for the 7th and 8th graders, and one of the musicals' title was On the Outside Looking In. And a little 7th grade boy, I have to tell this story, was the lead. And he did find friends by the end of the play, I want you to know that. But in the beginning, he was pretty much by himself. And this boy, this was so many years ago, is now the chairman of the theater department at Interlochen. And I take full credit. I gave him his first role. And in that role, he sang this song. Let's see, it's an A. On the outside looking in, seems to me that's where I've always been, watching someone else's games, just wishing they would call my name. It's a really hard place to be. It's a really hard place for me. There are times when I meet someone new, and I can't think of the right thing to say. I stutter and I stumble and but they finally just walk away. On the outside looking in, no one turns to me to smile or grin. I see life just passing by, and it's not as though I haven't tried. It's a really hard place to be. It's a really hard place for me. Maybe this time will be different. Maybe this time I can join the game. I hope this time I'll have a chance. I hope this time won't be the same. On the outside, looking in, you can join me. Seems to me that's where I've always been, watching somebody else. Watching someone else's game and wishing I could do the same. On the outside, looking in. These words are from Lisa Dogue. Why a flaming chalice, the question comes. It's the cup of life, we answer. A cup of blessings overflowing, a cup of water to quench our spirit's thirst, a cup of wine for celebration and dedication, the flame of truth, the fire of purification, and oil for healing and anointing. Now listen to the sound of the bowl. Catch the vibrations that you will feel. Let these rest in you and bring you closer to the peace of the morning.
Would you please rise in body or in spirit and join us in singing hymn number 188, Come, Come, Whoever You Are, found in your gray hymnal. We'll sing this through once all together and then twice as a round, and I'll give each section the signal when it's your turn to start. And if you get lost, it doesn't matter, just sing whatever you want and watch for the signal, okay?
Ours is no caravan,
For our time for all ages this morning, I'm going to be reading a story called The Day You Begin. It's written by Jacqueline Woodson and illustrated by Rafael Lopez. There will be times when you walk into a room and no one there is quite like you. Maybe it will be your skin, your clothes, or the curl of your hair. There will be times when no one understands the way the words curl from your mouth, the beautiful language of the country you left behind. My name is Rigoberto. We just moved here from Venezuela. And because they don't understand, the classroom will fill with laughter until the teacher quiets everyone. Rigoberto, from Venezuela, your teacher says so soft and beautifully that your name and homeland sound like flowers blooming the first bright notes of a song. There will be times when the words don't come. Your own voice, once huge, now smaller, when the teacher asks, "What did you do last summer? Tell the class your story." These shells came from a beach in Maine. A boy named Jonathan holds out a jar filled with tiny shells so fragile they look like they'll turn to dust in your own untraveled hands. "We went to France," says Shayla. "My whole family went to India, Spain, South Carolina." Each souvenir a small triumph of a journey. Their travels going on and on. And as you stand in front of that room, you can only remember how the heat waved as it curled and lifted off the curb. And your days spent at home caring for your little sister, who made you laugh out loud and hugged you hard at nap time. You can only remember the books you kept on reading long after she had fallen asleep. And in that room, where no one else is quite like you, you'll look down at your own empty hands and wonder, what good is this when other students were flying and sailing and going somewhere? There will be times when the lunch your mother packed for you is too strange or too unfamiliar for others to love it as you do. When even your own friend Nadia will wrinkle her nose and say, "What's in there anyway?" And you'll wonder how she doesn't see the rice beneath the meat and kimchi. You wonder why she doesn't remember that rice is the most popular food in the world. There will be times when the climbing bars are too high, the run is too fast and too far. The game isn't one you can ever really play. I don't want him on our team. You can watch. Maybe you can have a turn later. There will be times when the world feels like a place that you're standing all the way outside of. And all that stands beside you is your own brave self, steady as steel and ready, even though you don't yet know what you're ready for. There will be times when you walk into a room and no one there is quite like you, until the day you begin to share your stories. "My name is Angelina, and I spent the whole summer with my little sister," you tell the class, your voice stronger than it was a minute ago. "Reading books and telling stories, and even though we were right there on our block, it was like we got to go everywhere." "Your name is like my sister's," Rigoberto says. "Her name is Angelina, too." And all at once, in the room where no one else is quite like you, the world opens itself up a little wider to make some space for you. This is the day you begin. To find places inside your laughter and your lunches, your books, your travel, and your stories, where every new friend has something a little like you and something else so fabulously not quite like you at all. The end.
Would you please join me in singing the children's benediction, singing our children to their classrooms? Go in joy, go in peace to meet the day. With open hearts embrace life's wonder. We will guide you, we will love you all your way.
Good morning. The New Colossus is an Italian sonnet written by the Jewish-American poet Emma Lazarus. Lazarus was a passionate immigration activist, becoming particularly involved in the plight of Russian Jewish refugees. She wrote the poem in 1883 to help raise funds for the construction of the Statue of Liberty's pedestal, but the poem was not actually mounted on the pedestal until 1903, where it still stands today. The poem compares the Statue of Liberty to the ancient symbol of military might. The statue's role in the poem's hopeful, unironic tone offer an idealistic version of America's role on the world stage as a welcomer and protector of immigrants. What would she think today? The New Colossus. Not like the brazen giant of Greek fame with conquering limbs astride from land to land. Here at our sea-washed shore shall stand a mighty fortress, a mighty woman with a torch, whose flame is the imprisoned lightning, and her name, Mother of Exiles. From her beacon hand glows worldwide welcome. Her mild eyes command the air-bridged harbor that twin rivers frame. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door.
Our stewardship touches those within and reaches beyond these walls. The baskets will be passed in the sanctuary. They have two sides, one for those in need in the community and the other to sustain the congregation. You can see on the monitor other ways to contribute. One, send a check to the congregation or give through the UUCGT website or give through Vanco mobile app. And one can make the transfer arrangements with the bank. Now, as the baskets are passed, we'll listen to Amanda play her composition, Rambling Thoughts.
Good morning. I am Nan Worthington, not Heather Shoemaker, and I am reading something that she wrote. She's unable to be here. I first felt the sting of exclusion in 6th grade, middle school, a time of great churning when social forces conspire to break kids' innate personalities and try to force them into the same mold. It didn't help that I was uprooted that year and living in England. I was an outsider, not British enough, not American enough either, as it turned out. The 11-year-olds who gathered around me that first day after class peppered me with questions. Do you eat steak every day? Do you know JR from the TV show Dallas? When they learned I didn't live on a ranch or own a horse, they were disappointed. For the rest of the school year, their questions turned into taunts. I think the most common insult that year came from Sandra in biology class. Sandra and Xandra were a pair. Sandra would begin by poking me in the back. You're a fat old cow, she'd say, and then giggle with Xandra. I was skinny as a stick and didn't understand why cows were bad, but I felt their torments. It was a relief to get back to the U.S., but to my dismay, I was now too British. My American classmates had moved on. I got ridiculed for being different again, for being out of touch. Someone pushed a note through my locker. You could be pretty if you wore makeup. But I'm already beautiful, I thought. I pitied them because they didn't know their own beauty. Beauty came from deep inside and had nothing to do with makeup. Luckily, I've found friends who agree since then. I emerged from middle school with my soul intact. There's an insecurity to exclusion, a fear that goes along with it. If we weren't so worried, so scared of possible rejection ourselves, we could be more open to others. I watched one scene unfold at my mother's preschool. 2 girls had built a tent and posted a sign that said, Amanda and Sarah's tent only, no boys and no tigers. Who should come along but a boy wearing a tiger suit? The game looked like fun. He wanted to play. Our sign says no boys, no tigers, said Amanda. What would happen if Ben joined your game, asked the teacher. He would be too loud. He would growl. We don't like growling. Ben, will you growl? No, said Ben. Can Ben join your game if he doesn't growl? Sure. So, a boy wearing a tiger suit entered a house that said no boys and no tigers. Once the fear was faced, it could be set aside. That's how we learn to say yes more often and make our houses bigger.
Good morning, friends. Here we are in a lovely morning. The snow is so beautiful, and a sign of spring, these beautiful tulips. Spring a month away. So I'm here to share the joys and concerns that were shared. My name is Connie Metcalf, and I'm part of the congregational care team. It is our practice as a religious community to set aside time in our service to name and honor the joys and concerns that mark our lives, the milestones and moments of our lived experience. I will be sharing the joys and concerns that have been offered up to us to hold on our hearts today. If you have a joy or concern that's a bit too heavy to share, I invite you to reach out to Rev Alex or any member of the congregational care team. If your joy or concern is still raw and tender, we invite you to hold it on your heart as you are held in this loving community. And as Rev Alex says, none of us is meant to travel this journey alone. Here is what's been shared with this gathered community on February 9th, this Sunday. I'm concerned for my neighbor's son and daughter-in-law in Africa, working for the World Health Organization. Their oldest son graduates high school this spring, but they got the 30-day notice from Musk. Their lives are in chaos, as well as all the people they serve. And that's from Mary Van Valen. And from myself, I just had a message from Mary Ann that one of our long-term members, Nancy Landfair, is at end stages of Parkinson's. She's at the pavilions. Her mother was a member of our congregation, a loving family, and my heart goes out to all of them. And now, let us hold a moment of silence for the joys and concerns that remain in silence and on our hearts.
Last summer, Mary Ann and I inadvertently attended a concert by Claudia Schmidt and Sally Rogers. And as always, it was heartwarming and beautiful. But when they sang this song, we were both so touched emotionally, and we walked out of there saying, we have to sing this. Mary Ann and I have never sung together before, amazingly. And we are joined today, thank you, by Ellen Rapson, who's playing the flute for us, because it wouldn't be the same without that.
All of the girls whose names will never be known, all of the girls whose choices were not their own, all of the girls denied their share of the gold, all of the girls like cattle bought and sold, all of the girls who had to submit to a man, all of the girls the boys could not understand, All of the girls whose place at the table was barred, all of the girls who numbered more than stars. This is for you. I see you shine, sparkling like jewels in the night. Wherever I go, whatever I do, the stardust in me is from you. All of the girls who could not tear the veil, all of the girls who tried and tried but failed, all of the girls who did not have their say when the holy writers took their words away. All of the girls who raised their children up well, all of the girls who rose each time they fell, all of the girls who worked for the coming new day, all of the girls who knew the price they paid. This is for you. I see you shine, sparkling like jewels in the night. Wherever I go, whatever I do, the stardust in me is from you. All of the girls who somehow still kept a faith that all of their girls would find a much better way. You are the stars without words, and oh, I believe someday your voice will be heard. This is for you. I see you shine, sparkling like jewels in the night. Wherever I go, whatever I do, the stardust in me is from you. This is for you. I see you shine, sparkling like jewels in the night. Wherever I go, whatever I do, the stardust in me is from you. The stardust in me is from you. It seems quite simple to link inclusivity and Black History Month. I think most of us have a sense of what our fellow Black UU members may have felt over the years, but in truth, we would only be guessing. Connie Simon, one searching for a real congregation, has these words to help us understand what missing voices is for her. I'm a black woman. When I look around on Sunday morning, I don't see many people who look like me, or sometimes not anyone who looks like me. So I guess I shouldn't be surprised that I don't hear voices of people who share my experience, but it still hurts. I want to hear voices that tell the struggle of living under the weight of oppression in this culture of white supremacy. I want to hear stories of trying to stay afloat in the water we swim in. I want to hear voices of living while black in America. I don't hear those voices in UU churches, but I still want to come. So I have to supplement my worship by reading black theologians like Anthony Pinn and Monica Coleman. I read Maya Angelou, James Baldwin, and my favorite poet, Paul Laurence Dunbar. Though not a Unitarian or a Universalist, Dunbar chronicled the African American experience in the years following the Civil War. For Dunbar, the struggle was real. 100 years later, hearing Dunbar express his frustration and give voice to the contradictions of our existence as African American encourages me and nourishes my soul. His voice speaks to my heart. He knows my pain and understands my sadness and my fear and my rage. He understands the tears I cry as I pray for strength to get through another day in this world. He gives voice to my deep faith that real change is coming. That's the message many African Americans long to hear in church. Will we have to go outside to hear our voices? Maybe there's no place for us in Unitarian Universalism. The thought of leaving is so painful, but so is being in a faith that ignores our voice.
Good morning, friends. Friends, I would like you all to take a moment to think about what it means to be a friend, to have a friend. Who do you include in your circle of friends? What does the word friend mean in relation to the people in your social circle? Does it extend to the people of this congregation, whether here in the sanctuary or sharing this experience of the service at home? A congregation is not just a group of individuals gathered around a shared belief or practice, but a collective where relationships are built on trust, understanding, and connection. It suggests a sense of partnership in the spiritual journey, acknowledging that each person is both a participant and a contributor to the life of the community. It suggests a kind of friendship. In the Unitarian Universalist community, we hold and value 8 principles as a meaningful part of our religious tradition. The first 3 of these principles are that we as UUs recognize the inherent worth and dignity of every person, justice, equity, and compassion in human relations, acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregations. The theme for the Soul Matters and Creativity Matters material for the month of February is Living Love Through the Practice of Inclusion. And it occurs to me that these 3 principles could be used to define the word inclusion as it implies to our spiritual journey. Today, I invite you to reflect on the theme of inclusion. Specifically, I want us to think about what it feels like to be on the outside looking in, to be unseen, unheard, or pushed to the margins. Think for a moment about a time in your life when you felt excluded. Maybe it was because of your race, your gender, your background, or your beliefs. Maybe it was because you were different in some way that others couldn't or wouldn't understand. Reflect on how that experience shaped you. How did it feel to be overlooked, to be ignored, to be dismissed? It's a painful feeling. It's a feeling that many of us, if we are honest, can relate to. I am reminded of an incident that happened when I was 10 or 11 years old. I was the second of 6 siblings, and though we didn't live in poverty, there were many things that my parents could not provide that other more affluent families could. So it was a highlight of my life to be able to spend 2 weeks at a YWCA camp in northern Michigan. Those 2 weeks had such an impact that I can still sing the camp song verbatim after 65 years. Don't worry, I won't. Although I did not know any other of the campers when I went to camp, I became friendly with a couple of the girls in my cabin, girls I looked up to because they were a year older. After camp was over, I made arrangements for a play date with one of the girls. My mother drove me to her house, located in a rather upscale neighborhood of our town, but when we arrived, there was no one at home. I never saw or heard from that girl again. I had to wonder if I had been purposely stood up or if I was just not important enough for her to remember that she had invited me. How did your experience of exclusion change you? Maybe it made you more compassionate. Maybe it made you more determined to make sure that no one else feels the way you did. We've all had moments in our lives when we've felt different, out of place, or disconnected from the world around us. And the longer we're on the outside, the deeper that feeling of isolation can go. But here's the thing. When we are on the outside looking in, we are not alone. There are always others who feel the same pain of exclusion. And that's where we as a community, as Unitarian Universalists, can make a profound difference. We are called to recognize the inherent worth and dignity of every person, to work toward justice, equity, and compassion. Inclusion is not just a nice thing to aspire to, it's a moral imperative. It's a recognition that no one should be left out or made to feel less than because of who they are, where they come from, or what they believe. How can we create a more inclusive world? How can we expand the circle of belonging so that no one is left standing on the outside looking in? The answer starts with awareness. It starts with recognizing that exclusion is real, that it's happening all around us. It's in the subtle ways we overlook people, the jokes we make at others' expense, the ways we cling to the familiar and shut out the unfamiliar. It's in the systemic barriers that can keep people from equal opportunities, from fair treatment, from safety and security. But awareness is only the first step. The second step is action. We must actively work to be more inclusive, to open up the space at the table for those who are too often left out. We must challenge ourselves to step out of our comfort zones, to listen to voices we might not normally hear, and to embrace the diversity that makes us stronger, richer, and more vibrant as a community. The Unitarian Universalist principle of justice calls us to ensure that no one is marginalized. It calls us to see each person as a part of the web of existence, connected and worthy of respect. To be inclusive means to create environments where everyone is seen for who they are, where everyone's story matters, where everyone is invited to contribute. Here is where the challenge lies. Inclusion isn't always easy. It can feel uncomfortable because it asks us to confront our biases, to let go of the assumptions we make, to actively build relationships with people who are different from us. It means moving beyond tolerance to genuine acceptance and mutual respect. Our challenge today is to think about our own role in this work, to reflect on times when we felt excluded and how it shaped our worldview, and then to ask ourselves, how can I be a person who expands the circle of inclusion? It could mean reaching out to someone we don't know well. It could mean speaking up when we hear hurtful words or see injustice happening. It could mean standing in solidarity with those who are being pushed to the margins and saying, you belong here too. Let us be the ones who see and hear each other. Let us be the ones who work for a world where everyone is included. May we strive to be the kind of community where no one feels left out, where all voices are valued, and where the circle of belonging is constantly expanding. May it be so. And please rise as in body or in spirit and join in singing hymn number 168, One More Step. And now, as has become our tradition, if you would remain standing and join hands, or if you are not comfortable with that, you can just go like this. As the chalice flame is released, may we take with us the warmth of love and light of inclusion it represents. And in the words of Maya Angelou, put the mantle of your protection around the bodies of the young and defenseless. Take the hand of the despised and diseased and walk proudly with them in the high street. Some might see you and be encouraged to do likewise. We do have a few announcements. And you may be seated for the announcements. Today is the last day of the UUCGT's auction fundraiser. There is still time to bid on some items and offerings. Please see Brian Beamer after the service and check out the printouts of the current bids and offerings. Remember, we still have matching funds available. Help us reach the full impact of this generous giving in support of our community. UUCGT is searching for a new volunteer editor of our monthly newsletter, The Beacon. We are seeking a creative person with skill in design, software, and attention to detail. Reach out to Amanda Mangiardi, the current editor of The Beacon, for more information. You're invited to join Andy Kramer and Andrea Walworth this Wednesday for a Sacred Grounds information and planning session at 4:30 p.m. in the sanctuary before the Wednesday potluck. As part of our congregation's commitment to this project, we'll be making plans for activities for the upcoming year. And now I would like to invite Emily Mitchell from the Social Justice Action Committee, who is going to talk to you about their Good Trouble Summit.
Keep your eyes on the prize, hold on, hold on. I'm Emily Mitchell. As Beth said, this announcement's an invitation to an activation event. UUs have been showing up to question authority and speak truth to power for a very long time. Did you know, historically, that our two religious traditions, Unitarianism and Universalism, both socially just and often persecuted, have origins in classical Greece, 3rd century Alexandria, 16th century Europe, the Industrial Revolution in the UK, and among the founding mothers and fathers of this nation. Did you know that? Today, Unitarian Universalists stand at the vanguard of social justice, inclusivity, and spiritual pluralism. UUs show up. Our own mission here on the back cover of your program reflects this stand. So on Saturday, February 22nd, in 2 weeks in this sanctuary, this congregation will hold a social justice activation workshop. It is from 9 a.m. to noon. Childcare will be provided. It is for anyone in or an ally of or a friend of this beloved congregational community. We will be inclusive, but not yet public about this event. We ask that you register. Please sign it up at the QR code on this slide or see us at the social justice table in the hall. And if you have questions in the meantime, you may contact members of the social justice team. Mike Radke, Mary Van Valen, Jan Zerbo, myself, Steve Sanders. Thank you.
You may depart.
this